is JD's podcast. JD's Rabbable podcast. He's gonna sit and relax and tell you all sorts of stories. He's gonna tell you all about life and sports, and probably will play some games. And if nothing else, you know we're gonna have a laugh. This is the podcast.
Episode 12. 12, right, Puffy? Are we
12 is the correct
That was
number.
a good start. Good factual start. Episode 12. I want to thank our sponsor right off the top this time because I kind of dilly-dallied last time. The Fandom Sports app.
Buried the lead.
They've announced their big launch party, which will be July 11th, or the night before the ESPYs in Hollywood, California. If you guys...
We're all going?
Are we going?
we may be able to score you guys some tickets. It's going to be, well, it says big name celebrities and athletes, so it doesn't get much bigger than us. The Fandom Sports app, like a sports bar in your smartphone. So it launches in a few weeks, and basically you can have debates with your friends, win prizes. That's all. That same tagline, I think, it's like Puffy. Puffy, he's like a sports bar in your pants. Isn't that your tagline, Puffy?
Ideally, it is.
This is another big day. We just keep rocking out important shows after important shows, but this one might be the biggest because maybe the most popular segment, well, definitely the most popular segment on the podcast is the Rod Smith podcast recap. And we have the man himself live in studio, Rod Smith. How are you, buddy?
Am I supposed to stay in character, James? Because out of this raging egomaniac that you've turned me into on this podcast, am I supposed to stay that way and say something like, finally, you got some talent on this show? Or,
exactly.
Or there actually is a podcast? I got to talk to my agent, you know.
You should have your shades on, a little dart hanging out of your mouth, a cocktail in one hand.
Well, those listening can use their imagination because I do.
Yeah. No, but that's what makes it great to us is the fact that you are the nicest guy in the world. And we do state this on the podcast before turning you into the egomaniacal monster that you are on the Rod Smith
It's an alter
recap.
ego.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun, actually.
It's, usually we have our guests at the end. I know you're a faithful listener, Rod.
Yeah.
We have two parts of the podcast.
I just like to listen to the recap and then,
Usually
I'm just staying in character.
That's all right.
4 minutes in.
Okay, I'm done.
Every podcast I've ever been on, I just listen to my part and then turn it off. So that's just the way we are in television. Lester, by the way. Hey, Lester is back from his tropical vacation in St. Martin. How was that?
Indeed. Fantastic time. As you know, I was quite upset that the Habs were bounced while I was away.
We all know that.
Yeah, we're pretty aware. We'll get into that momentarily. Lester, I know you just walked in and we didn't have time to prepare. I didn't even tell you that Rod was going to be on the podcast. And as per tradition, we do a song for our guests. So do you and I didn't have a chance to write a Rod song. Can you just do any song to Rod?
I think I got a little something here. I'm going to look into your eyes and do it. I'm just kidding.
I'll take my shades off.
Rod, you're the man when they put on the red light.
Very nice.
When the broadcast is over, everybody knows that it was really tight.
Oh, very nice.
Rod.
Very nice.
That's
Very
awesome.
well done.
I am honored.
Oh, thank you.
And I
appreciate that.
And I'm a fan of the police too.
Oh, perfect.
Well, and I think we chose that. A lot of people don't know that Rod was a child prostitute, and so
that wasn't supposed to get out. By the way,
using a song about Roxanne, a prostitute,
it all ties together now.
That's what that song's about.
Appropriate.
It is
theme.
actually, yes.
Wow.
Yes. You didn't know that?
No idea.
Well,
I
wait
thought it was
second,
just a
Puffy.
drinking
What
song.
part of it did you not get? The part where he says, "You don't have to sell your body to the night."
I don't think
you
I
have
ever
to put on
listened.
the red.
The only part I
lights.
listened to was Roxanne because that's when you had to drink. That's the only part I remember.
I thought every song's a drinking song to you, though.
Pretty much.
Basically is.
To enjoy a cocktail or two.
There are Bible songs that are drinking songs to Puffy. Well, we have a lot to cover, but let's get to the reason that we have this podcast, basically, and it's so successful. The Rod Smith recap. Christoph, let's let Rod Smith introduce his own recap. So, Rod, it's episode 11. You're introducing the Rod Smith episode 11 recap. This is going to be great. Go ahead.
In character?
Yes.
And now for the only good part of the show, except for Lester's. wonderful song about me. It's about me. So I'll recap the part that matters most about me. The Rod Smith recap. Early on, after being fired again and watching his beloved Habs lose, a despondent Sirius Lester sent us a new rendition of his theme song.
Sirius Lester.
I'm sorry, the Shea Weber for PK Subban trade
The conscience of the podcast
does not look very good.
TSN producer Matt Cade made his first appearance on the show and reminisced with Duthie about all the unforgettable memories they've had together.
Anaheim, when they were in the 07 final against Ottawa.
I was there with you.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, this got awkward.
Puffy revealed he worked as an extra on the film The Bodyguard and spent the entire time
Trying to nail Whitney Houston.
and Puffy may have finally taken his hypotheticals too far.
For $1 billion, would you be willing to have a stranger killed? What? You have to watch them die.
What if it was a twist ending and the person you killed was me?
I'll do it.
Guest Dan O'Toole talked about his return to Canada and what he's most looking forward to.
Can't wait to take a dump in your pool.
And the guys basically spent the rest of the podcast saying nipple.
You say nipple.
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 Nipple?
Nipple.
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 Nipple? Nipple.
Nipple.
Listen, boys, let the masters show you how it's done. Nipple. See? No one can nipple like Rod Smith nipples nipple. Anyway, now it's time for Rod Smith's editorial comment. Duthie, stop singing. Seriously.
Had this dream where I relished. I'm at a payphone trying to call.
You want the ladies to listen to the podcast, boys? Just put music under Rod Smith's gorgeous voice. Doesn't even matter how bad the lyrics are. Just listen. New Kids on the Block had a bunch of hits. Chinese food makes me sick. And I think it's fly when girls stop by for the summer. For the summer. Magic, baby. Panties on the stage screaming Rod Smith's name. Magic. That's all for this week. Now back to the Westminster Dog Show.
Live from Madison Square Garden, it started with over 2,800.
Yes. That might be the finest.
That was the best one ever.
Rod Smith recap.
Thank you very much, guys. And listen, it's been a pleasure being a part of the podcast, and I got to go now. Goodbye, everybody.
See you later.
Now, should we? And I know you guys touched upon it. We got the comedic genius here.
Yeah.
Who, this is like letting the cat out of the bag. You write all this stuff. You started sending me this, and
I get
fun.
bored sometimes at home, but it's all in the delivery, as we know.
Absolutely.
But I think
that was fun.
There's a couple things there. First of all, Puffy, once again, you're.
I'm just nailing clowns, Whitney Houston,
last
everything.
week it was 8 clowns. That might become a running theme on the show.
I'm pretty sure I'll say nail something every week, too.
The song Lester did for me, he could just substitute Rod with Puffy.
It works for a lot of things.
This line, I think we're going to have to play on every podcast from here on in, because this might be, I don't like to brag, I've written 3 books. And this is my favorite line I've ever written. No one can nipple. Go ahead.
No one can nipple like Rod Smith nipples nipple.
It's so well done.
I just hope my mom isn't listening, because that'd be
Faithful
foul language
listener.
to my mother. Nipple.
Were you a fan, Rod, of the song "Summertime Girls" by LFO? Which is
should I? Is it time to be truthful?
Yeah,
I didn't.
That's what this podcast is about.
Well, when you wrote the script, I thought I better go on YouTube, so I just took the entire script, put it in YouTube, and I got the song.
Right.
It's okay. It's not my first choice for music.
It's for some reason one of my all-time favorite songs, but it is the worst lyrical song. Puffy, would you say, in the history of
for sure,
songs?
but it was damn catchy.
Damn catchy. Lester, your thoughts on LFO's "Summertime Girls"?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan, to be honest with you. Sorry. Listen, this is serious Lester right here, and I'm telling you,
Sirius Lester.
I've been wrestling with
Musically,
the decline of music for a long time. I'm
this
not
is like
happy.
19
Come on,
99.
"Summertime Girls" is fun. It doesn't always have to be John Lennon,
Yeah,
Lester.
some catchy tunes are good too.
But He passed away, by the way, the guy who was the singer in that song.
He got like cancer.
Yeah,
Really?
there's a terrible, serious Lester moment.
Oh, that's terrible.
But Rod, I thought one of my favorite, I don't like to do old bits, but one of my favorite things you ever did on the Jay and Dan podcast was you do this great Bane imitation. Bane, the villain
in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought, I handed you the lyrics for Summertime Girls, and I thought if you could do one small section for me in the Bane voice.
I haven't done Bane in a long time,
Rod,
but
we don't on the Rubber Boots podcast. Our expectations.
All right, let me just try
the
the warm up line anyway. That it was.
Perhaps he's wondering why you would shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane.
It's good.
I always thought it was a cross between Sean Connery and Darth Vader.
And when you begin to feel your own words, start typing them. I am your father. You're the man now, dog.
Yeah,
It's
perfect. So see, I circled a little section for you.
Stayed all summer, then went back home. Macaulay Culkin wasn't home alone. Fell deep in love, but now we ain't speaking. Michael J. Fox was Alex P. Keaton. When I met you, I said my name was Rich. You look like a girl from Abercrombie and Fitch.
See? Still a banger.
The best. Oh my God. We're gonna have to have Rod on every week now.
Yes, you will, James.
Because you're a guest, usually we interview you. So I thought we'd retrace our relationship. A lot of people, you see, it bothers me. Everybody forgets that Rod and I did SportsCenter together for 10 months. In 2000, Rod?
2001. I remember well. That was a great time. Duthie had been my partner in Sports Desk, and he went away to, I think there was a show called That's Hockey 2 with Pierre Maguire.
Correct.
That's when he started.
Yeah.
And then you came in you were doing CFL.
Correct.
And it was a lot of fun.
It was, and we joke around a lot on this podcast, but I will sincerely say 10 of the funnest, best months of my time at TSN, mainly because you're just a great dude to sit beside every night.
I will say this. Working with Dutch, like, you're two of the funniest people I know for very different reasons. Mm-hmm. Dutch is spontaneous and will say things that you might think,
just
but would never dare say.
100%.
And he'd say
on the air.
So I was, for our older podcast listeners, I was like Ed McMahon to Johnny Carson, and we got a new Johnny came in, and with you, everything was prepared. It's stuff I gladly would have said if I could have thought of it, but my mind is not that comedic,
right,
if you will. And so you would come up with these great bits. And I would sit there, and I will say this for myself. You always had one person laughing right with you there, because you're Ed McMahon.
Well, you were the best, and I think I wrote this in my book. Sometimes when you're doing Sports Desk, SportsCenter, whatever, sometimes you're really busy. When the other guy's talking, you're busy getting ready for your other notes. And once in a while, you were so good at being Ed McMahon that sometimes you would laugh even when I didn't say something funny. Because I think you would be working on your other notes.
It was sincere.
I'd be like, and so the Jays win 7-3. They've now won 4 in a row. And you'd be like, 4 in a row. Gets me every time. No, but that was that little triumvirate, because it went from, and by the way, Rodsky and Dutch, we should revisit. I think Christoph grabbed some of the great promos you did. Do you have any of that, Christoph? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Got it. Breakaway in progress.
Shots fired?
Time to find out.
Day after grueling day, two men face off against the big leagues.
Guy comes down, he goes there, he goes over to there, a guy hits it, it is over.
So what was the other one when you were getting interviewed like you were athletes post-game? Do you have that, Christoph?
Well, it's not just one or two guys. That's the thing. The Sports Desk is a team effort. What show were you watching anyway? How many shows have you ever done? I don't know what show you guys were watching, but I think that was a pretty darn good show.
A lot of criticism for early Sports Desk.
They obviously work better visually, but Rod and Dutch are basically athletes in the locker room after a game getting scrummed. And
we had the towel over and everything else. And that was so much fun. Remember, so much used to be put into promoting the people that hosted the show back then, the shows themselves. I kind of miss those days that we got to work a lot on those promos. It must have been a bigger budget for it. I don't know.
Do you guys remember the promo that they cut when you guys first moved Sports Desk to 10 o'clock?
No.
You don't remember it at all? Like,
was it us?
It was you. It was supposed to be a press conference type of setting.
Right.
Do you remember who the PR guy was?
Was that you?
It was me. It was me. I just remember that right now. I
vaguely remember that. So
look at that.
And were we all on the desk?
We were all on the desk. Yes, we were all on the desk.
Right.
And I was like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to announce today that Sports Desk will be moving at 10 p.m. Eastern, starring Rod Smith and our newest acquisition, James Duthie, because you just come on at the time.
Because I was going to lament the fact that I didn't think we got to do a lot of promos together, and I was always jealous of the you and Dutchie, because we spun around, so it went Rodsky and Dutch. Yeah. And then you and me. And then you left to do Jim Van Horn's The 6 p.m. show.
That's right.
You became the franchise.
Yeah, right.
And then Dutchie and I were together.
Yeah. And Dutchie and Duthie, as you called it.
Yeah, which was, again, equally enjoyable, just as you say, for different reasons, because Dutch was nuts. And a couple of the things he said that I will never forget on the air, one of the ones was Edgar Renteria hit a home run. And he basically did this. Up next, in the 7th, Edgar Renteria, deep to left, Renteria, gonorrhea.
Oh, yeah. He used that one. That was...
And the other one, the summers are a real dead zone for Sports Desk, SportsCenter, and basically it's just tons of baseball highlights. And I created this thing called Home Run Call Theme Night, where basically, because you do about 10 home runs a night in your packs, and so I started, one night I would do like types of cheese, and every time there was a home run, I'd just yell out Gouda, and then do a different types of cheese. So one night I did it in honor of Dutchie. I did towns in Saskatchewan, and I saved what I thought was the best for last, and I'm like, whatever. Barry Bonds in the 7th, deep to left, Big Beaver. And Dutchie goes, been there.
Oh, man.
How did he keep his job?
And the worst ever was I did one called Things My Nana Never Said. And so every time a home run was hit, I'd say something like, Bootylicious. And so I said that, Bootylicious. And Dutchie goes, I tell you one thing, she said, Dutchie-licious. And I said, what? I said, Dutchie, that's my Nana. She passed away. Well, she wasn't dead then.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, what a piece of work, man.
No, but those were fun days. Yeah. That span of 5 or 6 years when the three of us alternated partners.
Yeah. There was one with him where a NASCAR driver, I guess the engine had failed. Anyway, the windows were already starting to steam up. And I just ad-libbed her in the pack, hey, look at the windows fogging up, been there. At the end of the pack, and you could always tell into the corner of his eye, there's something he wants, you just look across, there's something he wants to add. He says, yeah, you've been there, and like him, you were all alone. How can you not laugh at that, even though he's insulting me, right? So, anyway, I can take it.
A lot of people wonder how I do hockey all year and then get the summers off, and you do football all season and then have to work the 6 o'clock all winter.
He's got a bad agent.
Oh, no, it's good. It's all good. Plus, I live in fear for my job. And, I say this with Puff here, and we go way back with Puffy, who's made it clear to me many times if he ends up being my boss, and someday he will.
Yeah, Puffy will run the show.
I'm getting the call.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Spenny, it's voiceover time, buddy. Putting you out to pasture. You got those pipes, you got those deals, that Buick thing come through.
Yeah. It's time to, starting to look pretty old out there.
Your voice, when we started this podcast, I said the one thing we have to have is Rod Smith, because if I die, I want you to voice over my funeral. And the big, how long will be my obit piece on TSN?
Yeah. About 45 minutes.
I'm hoping 12 to 15. Maybe an hour special?
Do I get paid for that?
No.
Sorry, just trying to get back in character.
You know this network well. Not by my estate, anyway.
Yeah. Well, how do I answer that? Like, geez, I really hope I get to.
I don't know. What do I say?
Just do me a favor. We're good enough friends that if you have voiced my obit and I'm still alive, let me know.
That's right, yeah.
Because that's one of the, I guess, dirty secrets of our business is that a lot of obits have to be voiced before the person has passed away. Quite often years before the person has passed away.
Well, they don't have to be. They just are.
They just are.
Because you want to roll them out for people, right?
Sure, but you have to have that obit out right away.
Well, I'll tell you what, as someone who has done one, I think for Gordie Howe, and there's been a few others, it's nerve-wracking. Because you don't know whose hands it's in. And if there's any, we've had false alarms before. People that, in the news business want to get it out right away. Mm-hmm. You start running an obit. And then you find out later on that they haven't passed away.
Right.
That gets a little...
DiMaggio, I think it was NBC famously that killed DiMaggio early.
Pat Burns was...
Pat Burns,
right?
Yeah, so we'll try not... If let me know.
We've already done your.
Wait till you know I'm done.
I have done yours, but I'll be gone 10 years by the time yours. Anyway,
I wanted to do a quick. And after all Puffy's segments dominated the show last week. I thought we needed a new segment, but I don't know what to call it. I was going to call it Headlines and just do like the Drake song. You know, I might be too strung out on compliments.
I might be too strung out on compliments.
But I think I've seen that done 18 other places. So we'll call it Things I Saw on Twitter.
Things I Saw on Twitter.
Could we, I don't know. Things I saw on Twitter when I was reading it on the shitter. I don't know. I don't know what rhymes with Twitter.
I think you hit it.
There we go. I think that's it. We'll work on that for next week, Lester. Sorry to surprise you.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so quickly, things I saw on Twitter today.
Lester.
Basically, because I was worried, that we couldn't do all Puffy's TSN reporter power ranking segment. That's not going to happen until the end of the next round. A lot of anger, by the way.
Yeah, I have a feeling there'd be some.
You are getting.
Who's getting ticked?
Well,
Sarah Leslie
right?
Wants to be number one. Believes she should be number one.
Didn't she start at number one? Or
no, she started at 4 or 5.
Yeah, she's at 3. No, she's at 5.
5 now.
She somehow dropped while on vacation.
Wow.
Farhan is just angry at the entire process.
Yeah.
How's John Luke?
Wallace, we've heard nothing from, as always.
He doesn't even know what's happening.
Johnny
Lou's got to be happy.
He's got to be happy. He's on the podium. That's John's. Yeah. He's got a T-shirt. Okay, things I saw on Twitter. There was a fight on a plane. Did you see this?
Guys, get off the plane!
No,
I haven't seen it.
There was a big scrap on some plane on its way to Japan. And the only reason I mention this is because I was thinking who would be the most likely panel member at the Stanley Cup Final, or in Rod's case, the Grey Cup, to get in a scrap on a plane. Now, in this case, there was some crazed person who basically attacked another guy, so he had to fight back. So, fight on a plane. Hockey panel, Puffy, I'll let you
I would say number one would be Ray Ferraro.
Right.
He'd probably be the quickest.
But he's so passive-aggressive. Like, do you think
I think he'd have the quick... But once his button's pushed...
It would be a punch to the neck to kill the man, though. It wouldn't be a full-out long scrap.
Yeah, he would definitely be number one. If you could get O on a plane, then he'd be number 2.
Right, but he would be so heavily drugged because he doesn't like to fly.
Yeah.
He's the B.A. Baracus.
See, I always would have had Bob, but Bob's too smart to control himself.
I thought it would be Bob, too, to be honest with you.
In public, Bob can... I don't think Bob...
Are you saying there was a time when Bob...
Bob would have
been angry?
Yeah, like Bob will tell you when he was hockey coach Bob.
Yeah.
There was a few times the police had to be called.
Really? It's in the book.
I believe it's in the book. No, but Bob is definitely mellowed.
Yeah.
But you'd have to really... Now, Bob, I would say, would like... If it was... He would save... if it was somebody... I don't know, a situation where the guy was clearly being an idiot, Bob might step in and save the day with a one punch, but I don't think he'd ever get involved in anything. Who on the football panel?
Maybe Schultze.
I would think that's a pretty good call.
And maybe Eugene or Milton Eugene Stiegel.
Come on.
Really?
But he would. Guy. He's a great guy. He's a terrific guy. But he's a man of principle, and you do not cross him. You do not cross him.
Yeah.
Really? But in the case of Milt and Schultze, I think Milt would land the shot and then run down to the bathroom, maybe.
And Milt will fight you if you swear.
Yeah.
Or if you eat a candy bar.
Yeah.
He's very clean liver.
If I get the bag of chips out of the vending machine, I just gotta be really careful. Go into the green room and just I'll have a few crumbs and be like, "What were you eating?"
He's a younger Gary player.
He's ridiculously healthy.
The other thing I saw on Twitter was man pays tribute to late friend who was a plumber by flushing his ashes down ballpark toilets around the country. Now, this guy, Roy, died in 2008, apparently, and his buddy Tom McDonald has been traveling the country going to ballparks, flushing his asses down the toilet, which sparked me to say, where do you want your ashes, since we've talked a lot of death on this program?
Wrigley Field. I got 2 boys, and that's their job. They got to do a road trip to Wrigley Field and put the ashes.
But you'd never been to Wrigley until we went a few years ago at the Cup Final, correct?
I'd been one time before that, but I've only been there twice.
But you're a Jays fan.
Yeah, but Wrigley Field just seems like it's going to be there forever.
Okay.
If you put it at the Rogers Center, that turf is going to get rolled up in a couple years, and it's gone.
Rod?
Wow.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah. Over the sports, I would like to think you do it right over the 6 o'clock SportsCenter desk.
Yeah.
Or we'll just stuff them.
Well, you know what?
We won't have them cremated.
And the way the cleaning staff sometimes is, they'd be there for a while.
What's this?
Yeah.
What's this?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm thinking something.
How about Queens, the Queens football field?
Yeah, I was thinking of Queens. I was also thinking more even in Ottawa, where TD Place is now, which would be kind of hard to dig. Because I played in that footprint of land in minor football and in high school football, a championship there, and in college as well. But maybe even, I don't know, maybe I'm trying to think the first field I ever played football on. I think that might be kind of nice.
Rod was an awesome offensive lineman for people that don't know. So he can always say, I played the game.
I'm glad you remember I told you that.
well, who had a better pedigree coming out of Ottawa high school football?
Did you play the Senior Bowl?
James Forbes Duthie,
well,
the 6?
I couldn't catch him. What was your 40 time? Best 40 I ever had, I think, was like 5.2. So.
I honestly never ran the 40.
No?
You know when I ran the 40?
But you had wheels, though, didn't you?
About 5 years ago, we had a hockey tournament, and we went, a bunch of the dads, 3 hours between games. We were in Cleveland, drove down to the Football Hall of Fame. And they have a thing there where you can run the 40. And that was the first time I'd ever run the 40. And I pulled my hammer at like 30 and pulled up. So I don't even know what it was. I bet you Rod had the better pedigree. Offensive lineman, you know.
You did receive letters from
a lot of prestigious schools.
In the Atlantic part of the country.
East of, that would be Carleton, McGill, and maybe St. Mary's.
And why did
Mount A?
Yeah. Mount A.
I got one.
So and when you went to Carleton, did they still
didn't play?
Oh, they did have football though, right?
They had football. It died shortly thereafter. Right. But I got a lecture from a journalism prof who said that you could not make it through first year journalism if you played football. Right. Now that might be my excuse 30 years down the road that I probably didn't think I was good enough to play at that level. And so I was very quick to say, okay, I'm not going to play.
You had your chance to play on in football, and now look what happened to you.
But the Ravens were awful too, you know.
You could have been on the CFL panel as an analyst.
And instead you're doing what you're doing now.
The funny thing is, were you delusional at all? I mean, Lee, you were a big guy, so... When
I wanted to play CFL.
I literally thought I would play in the CFL. And then I realized somewhere after that summer that I was a DB, a corner. Yeah. I was 5'10", 155, mediocre speed. White.
Yeah. Well, that tends to be a lot of the Canadians in the CFL.
For me, academics kind of worked against me, so the decision was made for me.
Come on, you weren't brilliant?
I had good marks in high school, and then I just I went to university, and I really enjoyed university life, maybe a little bit too much.
Keg party or two.
I was surviving, but it wasn't, and I loved playing football, but I had to get refocused, and I transferred over to Ryerson and started to take school seriously. So
that worked out pretty well.
Eventually, but I mean, that was tough. That was a tough time actually, because I loved going there. I loved everything about it, but I just taking physics and chemistry and biology and not knowing where it's leading. That was.
What were you taking at Queens then?
It was life sciences, but I mean,
Are you going to be a doctor?
I think so.
Wow.
That's kind of a frightening thought now, isn't it?
You thought about it being a doctor?
I would. Yeah. Don't you think?
Wow.
Well, that's a guy I'd put in my hand, my life, my hands in. I'd put my life in his hands.
I think you should just stick with me reading your obit.
Yeah.
Actually, that'd be great.
That's what he would do after.
James, I want to be your doctor. I also want to read your obit.
Now, did you ever have a play? Was there ever a fumble Ruski? Did you ever recover a fumble?
Nope.
Make any memorable play that we need to know about?
Well, in practice, I lobbied for it. You'd have to change the rules of football, but I wanted there to be a center screen, so a little shotgun snap, and
never worked.
Well, I mean, and then you let the D lineman get by you, which for me sometimes wasn't too hard. So they get by, you set up 1,001, then you just turn around, you snap it, you turn around, it's perfect.
Right.
And no, they didn't go for that. Oh. No, there was a play. It was called left 30 counter tackle trap. I was moved outside right tackle, and it was great because. If you execute it properly, you could come down and just cream the defensive end who's moving up into the play unblocked. And I used to that was when it worked well. That was exciting because you got to hit somebody. Anyway,
I can't see you as being a violent, angry person.
Not really. No, I'm not. I didn't fight. I did not fight. Schoolyard fights and everything like that. I might have been involved in breaking them up. I wasn't much of a fighter.
No.
Like Puffy, a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah. A lover.
How many fights you been in your life, Puff?
Since grade 6, 0.
Lester?
2.
Oh, really? Like any recently?
No, nothing like that. One was schoolyard. Both were schoolyard fights.
Christoph?
Like back in school, maybe 4 or 5.
Back in school,
Like high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, elementary.
Bit of a
school.
scrap in high school.
Oh.
I haven't had one
Happens,
since
what?
grade 6. I had one with a cat. That was in grade 7.
Wow.
Who?
Girlfriend's cat. That's about as tough as it got.
And eventually, Duthie prevailed.
See, I would like you to do play-by-play of my fights too.
Yes,
I will tell this story. The closest.
Get up, James. James, get up.
You're soft.
Closest I've come to a fight as an adult. So back when I was a news reporter in Ottawa, we did a junket to Disney World. It was like the 20th anniversary of Disney World or something, and flew all the media down. And you were allowed to bring someone, so I brought a buddy down with me. And we ended up at Pleasure Island, which was the place all the bars used to be. I think it's closed now in Disney World, where the adults used to hang out. And the night we were there, it was the character night. So all the staff at Disney was out partying, and included all the characters, the people who were in the suits. And
was Mickey there?
Oh yeah, Mickey, Minnie, everybody.
Goofy.
It'd be huge.
So
to meet
me
Mickey
and my
at the
buddy
bar.
are talking to these two girls at the bar who happen to be, they play Chip and Dale, the two chipmunks. Who are, Chip and Dale, remember they get stuck in the tomato factory?
Are they girl chipmunks?
Yeah, they happen to be, they're wearing costumes, Puff, so it could be a girl or a guy.
Can you not see the wheels turning in his head right now?
I always thought those were dudes.
So the funniest thing is, the Chip and Dale are like them, after you, right? The most polite. And these two girls were the raunchiest, dirtiest, smoking, drinking girls in the world.
That's awesome.
But pretty. So we were talking to these girls, and all of a sudden I realize some guy is like angry looking at me, and like he starts like sort of like bumping me on the shoulder. And it is what is the proper politically correct term now? It is a little person.
Oh, okay, yes.
Who plays Donald Duck. Donald Duck is played by little people.
Makes sense.
But Chip and Dale are regular sized people.
Correct.
Okay.
So maybe shorter, maybe like 5 feet.
Yeah.
So this guy lives for Donald Duck. Like most people are in jeans and shirts and just relaxing. He is wearing a Donald Duck tie, a Donald Duck shirt. This Donald Duck thing is his life.
He's invested.
Right. And so he apparently has a crush on Chip. And he's angry that I'm speaking to her, and he's had a little too much to drink, and so now he's challenging me to a fight.
You kicked that dog.
This sounds like a Seinfeld
I know.
episode.
I turned to my buddy, and I'm like, okay, so I'm talking to Chip the Chipmunk, and Donald Duck wants to scrap with me outside. And I had to leave because this guy was going to fight me. And I couldn't, and I probably would have gotten my ass kicked by Donald Duck at a bar at Disney World, so I avoided that. That was the closest I came to a fight as an adult.
You know what? I can't top that story. I'm not even going to try.
No.
But I
almost kicked my ass.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward for Puffy to say something for next week's recap.
Right.
You got to tie in Chip and Dale into something, because Puffy was clowns before in Whitney Houston, and
just say this, Puffy. I was nailing.
Chip or Dale.
Donald Duck.
I would have nailed Donald Duck.
We got sidetracked, which we tend to do. Lester, where would you have your ashes spread?
Man, you know what? I would say probably, yeah, I mean, it would be nice to, as far as sports is concerned, I mean, it doesn't exist anymore, but the Montreal Forum or the Bell Center, that'd be nice.
Okay.
I've spent some time there. But also, I think as far as venues are concerned, quite frankly, Maple Leaf Gardens too. Like a lot of the place concerts there.
Christoph, you got an answer for that one?
In this very room where history is.
That'd be beautiful. Well done.
Good
well
answer.
done.
Exactly.
Well done.
I'm kind of with Rod. I grew up a lot of memories with my parents at Frank Clair Stadium. So that would be one. I always thought about my cottage somewhere, like go on a boat, just let my heirs whip them off the boat into the lake.
See, that's a good one too.
Yeah. Do you have to go, by the way, Rod? I know you have a show to do. Can we quickly get to our last segment, which I want you to partake in?
Okay. Yeah.
You know it very well. Puffy's Hypotheticals.
Puffy's Hypotheticals are messing with my mind. Puffy's Hypotheticals, what's it gonna let it goes, let it goes.
Maybe what we can do, Puffy, is because Rod has to go do his show. We're taping this in the afternoon.
I have to go do the show, and I just chugged this bottle of water, and I have to go. I have to go times
2.
So let's get. We'll let Rod answer first. What's your first question, Puffy?
Well, we got hosts of 2 of the big panels at the network.
Right.
So if you're stranded in the Arctic with one member of your panel, who would you choose? Lester, you can be a band member.
So hold on. Now, give me context here. You're stranded. So are we talking about like you're stuck in a room together, or is it a situation where
it's a bit of life survival?
So in the sleeping bag together at night, naked, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you'd be in one. There's one sleeping bag,
and I don't mean that in any homoerotic way.
Yeah.
I just mean that you may have to stay warm, whatever it takes, survival, and you're stuck there perhaps for weeks.
For weeks, yes.
One member of each of our panels.
Yes.
Rod, you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Well, if I add the sleeping bag thing, and Drager is hairless, which is a big plus.
How do you know that?
Wow. I don't know.
Have you already been in his sleeping bag?
No, I just do I've golfed with him and we're wearing shorts and he's got hair. I'm like, what's the deal? And he goes, I'm pretty much hairless. He's like one of those hairless bunnies.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
This could be the episode that gets it canceled.
So, and he's got a little Saskatchewan in him, so he might be the most resourceful, I think, of them all.
You definitely kill these.
So yeah, Marty is so easy to get along with.
That's the thing. You're stranded out there, so you got to have someone who's going to be not going to annoy you eventually.
And maybe someone you might need to eat at some point. In which case,
He's your seatmate in Alive.
Okay. Wow. Say, Rod, I've gotten in trouble with a bunch of people, so you got to go now.
Wow. Well, Milt's hairless too, up
top.
And he's a healthy eater, so I don't I'm thinking, what would we have to eat?
Like, is he a hunter?
I don't know.
Jock would just want to lawyer his ass out of there.
I was gonna say Jock too, just from the standpoint that there's the other aspect. You're alone up there, and you need someone to talk to,
right?
And no one can argue like Jock.
Right.
He can argue either side. He's a lawyer,
right?
And so, the discussion would be pretty animated for a while until we just withered away. I would probably be able to outlast any of them. A little extra. We got a little extra to last on. So
Schultze somehow would be stuck up there with you, and he'd still want to be alone. Rod, just get the hell away.
That's right. You'd have to keep your distance some days.
Matt'd be fun. He'd have all sorts of stories. Matty could probably chase down a herd of elk.
But Matt would kill me because Matt, you'd have to ask them this. He'll ask one question about a fact. When did Ottawa last win the Grey Cup? And I'd go into this detail about what players are on the team. He'll leave the room, go get a coffee, come back, and I'm still talking. And then he'll look at me, and eventually, while I'm talking to him, and I'm thinking I'm really informing him, he'll just get this smile on his face and start laughing. It's like, dude, I stopped listening to you 15 minutes ago, and you're still talking. But I think up there, though, in isolation, I think it would irritate him. I think he'd kill me.
Yeah. Okay. So what do we settle on? Jock?
I'll go Jock.
All right, fair.
Yeah.
By the way, your knowledge of that, what you're saying there, you tell the story in that way, but stuff like the memories. I'm
an ocean of useless information.
Yeah, but you have that. You see, I'm Ron McLean's like that too. He can remember all dates. That is not a strength for me. Like I could say to you, okay, the 2003 NFC Championship game, and you'll be able to somehow come up with the teams. I'm not testing you here, but
what is it again? Which year?
2003
NFC Championship
game.
So let's see, 2003 in the Super Bowl, New England played Philadelphia. Was it Philadelphia, Green Bay? I have to look that one up.
Okay, but basically, I would have had nowhere. I would have gone the Bears.
Philadelphia made a Super Bowl.
I cannot remember anything past.
But you're even better in the 70s.
70s. That's my decade.
Like
I'm still locked in
every
there.
game.
70s music.
Yeah.
You like 70s music?
Yeah, man. Big time.
But I mean,
Got any requests? You got any requests for Lester before we let you go?
Well, Roxanne's from the 80s, so.
Yes.
Who's your band in the 70s?
I quite a mix. Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin. That's a little different. That's great.
That's very talented.
That's what he's here for.
That's Lester.
He's amazing.
It's awesome.
Do you have another question, Puffy?
Yes. If you could have one of the following for the rest of your life, no charge, what would you choose? A personal driver, a personal chef, a personal trainer, or a personal masseuse?
I have them all.
Son of a bitch.
That's great.
Rod?
I would say the personal chef.
Wow, you'd go the personal chef.
I would, just because, especially as I get older, I gotta, it starts with eating a little better, and sometimes I, feel like Dewey Oxburger and Stripes. Don't know if you noticed, have a bit of a weight problem. I love everyone else in the room going, no.
My name's Dewey Oxburger. My friends call me Ox. You might have noticed I've got a slight weight problem.
No.
Yeah, I do.
No.
Yeah.
My therapist says I swallow a lot of aggression, along with a lot of pizzas. Hello. Anyway, so no, I probably personal chef. I think that's probably the best way to go. And I know what your answer is already.
Yeah. What are the terms with the masseuse?
Any terms you can arrange.
Yes, it's hypothetical.
Whatever you can negotiate on site.
Okay, so you don't get happy endings with a chef, do you, Puffy?
There will be zero happy endings with the chef.
What do you mean? How do you know that? I don't even know what I mean by that.
Okay, Rodsky, we had a ball having you here.
That was a lot of fun, honestly.
We thank you so much for doing this every week with no pay. Oh, I got a prize for you.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I figured all the guests have been getting water.
Pair of rubber boots?
Signed.
Signed rubber boots poster?
Fandom, the sports app that's about to be launched and shock the world, is our number one sponsor right now. We were trying to get Mick Ultra, and then Dan told me last week we were going about it all the wrong way, because if we keep mentioning Mick Ultra,
oh, that's true.
That's right.
Which
why would they ever
again.
give us money? So I was on a podcast
the
with
dart guy has Nicorette.
I know, it's
like,
crazy.
Who's his guy?
I know. We need his guy.
That guy is amazing.
Unbelievable.
So I was on a podcast last week, this fine gentleman named Ray out east, and he sent me stuff for being on the podcast. And so I thought I'd re-gift it to Rod.
Oh, wow.
A beautiful, valuable gift.
Let's see this.
It's a Moose Light head cover.
Well, who would want that?
So the fine folks at Moose Light, maybe they want to get involved in a little
taste of
rubber
Moose
boot
Light
action. So
and I just lost a head cover, actually.
There you go.
Nice.
They got a Moose Light
Beautiful.
head cover.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Nothing but the best gifts for the franchise here.
Well,
at
you know what?
TSN.
I was wrong. This was worth it coming on. I'm kidding. You know what? I hope this does dispel some of this egomaniacal Rod Smith thing.
You leave, because I know you got to go, and we'll finish things up here without you. Ladies and gentlemen, Rod Smith.
Thanks very well. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
The Rod Smith recap.
Thanks a lot.
What else we got?
That's a lot of applause. Seriously, thank you.
It's overwhelming.
No, that's enough. Honestly.
Studio
All right, I'll stop applauding.
Rod.
Can't wait till he leaves so we can talk about him.
That guy's a dick.
What an ass. See you, buddy. Rod Smith from the Rod Smith recap. Can you play me one more time, Christoph? Can you play me Rod doing LFO's Summertime Girls? Do you have that handy?
New Kids on the Block had a bunch of hits. Chinese food makes me sick. And I think it's fly when girls stop by for the summer.
Seriously. My goal in life is to make love to that song.
That version?
That version of the song.
He's already done the other one.
Talk to my wife tonight.
Twice.
Did we have other stuff? I've all sidetracked by Red.
Well, you guys didn't answer the masseuse.
Oh, sorry, yes.
The hypothetical.
You know, I'd probably go with the chef, too. I
Really?
think I know enough. I can, even though my friend Matt Nickel and Dave, who trains me now at Individual Performance in Aurora, they're great trainers. But I think I could handle that. The masseuse is really tempting, Puff.
One a day, every day, the rest of your life. Like that, if I ever won my $1 billion.
3 meal, personal chef every meal.
Yeah, but
and do you imagine how much happier your wife is if she doesn't have to cook? She's going to be happy. That's going to make your life better.
I'm sure you cook a little bit.
I'm a terrible cook.
Really?
What are the options again?
Driver, chef, personal trainer,
masseuse.
Or masseuse. I think personal trainer might be number 2 for me.
You are going to be my driver likely within
that's probably
a year to 2 years.
As soon as they cut me from here, that's going to be my next gig.
That would be the worst. I'd more likely be your driver than you being my driver. Go.
As long as we're talking, we're not talking about driving Mr. Duthie. Yes, sir, Mr. Duthie. Would you like another song, sir? No, I'm just kidding. That's terrible.
Yes,
That's terrible.
I'm up there playing his guitar. Pull over, Lester. I'd like to play me a song.
I just want to state for the record that whenever this podcast goes to race, it's always Lester who takes it there.
It's always me. Okay, I'm sorry.
We don't see color, Lester.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm furthest from everybody, by the way. Anyway, listen. Honestly, I would take the masseuse too. I mean, I could drive myself. I could cook for myself. I could train myself.
Yeah.
Masseuse.
You can't massage yourself.
Christoph?
Yeah, masseuse, same thing.
Really?
Can't massage yourself.
Well, you can.
Sometimes
I think that might be Christoph's debut on the Rod Smith recap next week. We had one more piece of sound. This is a couple of days old, but I just loved it so much. I wanted to play it if you missed it on SportsCenter. And this was Tony Richardson, the three-time Pro Bowler fullback for the Jets, who got to announce one of the Jets' draft picks, I think in the third round, and it didn't go so well.
With the 79th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Ardarius Stewart, receiver, Alabama.
How is that the first time I'm hearing that? Like the Cowboys guy got the Cowboys guy got all the pub. Everyone loved him.
Drew Pearson.
Yeah, everyone loved him. But that steals the show.
Wow, that's funny.
Jete.
Oh, wow. Wrong but strong, as they say.
Do you think he just got nervous?
Yeah.
Or does he think it's the Jeet? The Jeet is actually
I don't want to
very
speak
cool,
for the man.
Cool name for a team. The Jeet, baby.
Wow.
Okay, so that is episode 12 of the podcast. We came in a little. Do you like the way of having the guest in
It's
this
nice.
way?
Yeah, it was good.
Kind of hard
with Rod.
Yeah, it's good with Rod. I suppose we couldn't do that, especially if the guy's on the phone.
Yeah, that's the thing. If they're in the studio, then
great.
it's probably good.
Okay.
If I may say something very seriously, as serious Lester, I love this space.
Serious Lester.
I have to say.
Yeah, this is Lester's first time in our new studio. If you missed episode 11, we just moved in. It was kind of confusing because I interviewed Dan in our small little studio, and then we came over here and did the rest in this spacious studio where Lester is literally about 6 yards away from us now.
Yeah.
And in the old days, we were basically
right on top of each other.
Yeah. We were doing happy endings by mistake.
By mistake.
Lappies aplenty.
Wow. Indeed.
Plenty o' lappies. Lester, we didn't ask you, how was your trip to St. Martin?
St. Martin was fantastic. I don't know. Have you ever been there? Anybody?
It's one of the islands I haven't gone to.
I was there 17 years ago with my parents and my brother, and I went back with my girlfriend this time. We were on the French side at a very nice resort.
Romantic.
And yeah, it was. It actually was very romantic, very relaxing. That was the deal.
You were really upset about the Habs, though, weren't you?
I was quite upset about the Habs.
Unbelievable.
I woke up.
It was so good.
I woke up Sunday morning and there's this audio file from Lester, and I said, "Oh, Lester's written a nice song for us on vacation. How good is that?" And then I listened to it, and by the end of it, I wanted to kill myself.
Listen,
did you watch the game down there?
I
did.
Get it? That's why. That's why.
Did you go for a lonely walk on the beach afterwards?
I had to listen.
Got to blow off some steam, honey.
Full marks to my girl. I got to leave this room. I'm just too angry. I really was, and it's a terrible thing to be in paradise and angry, but I was for at least 24 hours.
You okay now?
I'm okay now.
You want change, though. You want Bergevin's head, don't you?
I want him to. I don't want his head. I just want him to realize. Look, you need some offense. I can't believe he's still saying that he doesn't see it as an issue, and he said that.
Isn't it something that in this room we have a diehard Leafs fan in Puffy, we have a diehard Habs fan in Lester,
and a diehard Sens fan.
That is not true. I've told you. And you two, your seasons end basically at the same time,
right?
And yet, it's so sad over there and so happy over there.
Oh, a thrill.
Isn't it something?
Yeah.
Well,
you're just on top of the world right now.
Yeah, it's great.
And I don't blame you. Look, I'll say it. I've been quite envious of the Leafs organization for the last year and a half now because they've done what the Habs should have done: tear it down and rebuild. And they've got a great organization, top to bottom. They're all aligned, and they've got youth and talent. And you know what? You can't be upset with a team that pushes the best team in the league to the brink of elimination. Like 4 of those 5 games went to overtime, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
they played
amazing.
Fantastic.
And my team goes out with a whimper, can't even get Game 6 to overtime.
The Rangers were a good team, though.
No, but they're a good team. Yeah. I'm not going to suggest they're not a good team, but I just thought the way we attacked them was wrong.
And I don't think the Rangers are great, and I think we're seeing that. And they still might beat Ottawa. As we tape this, we're taping it on Tuesday, so it's 2-0 at this point. Yeah. Game 3 is tonight. So by the time you all listen to this, it might be 2-2. It might be over. Who knows? But I don't think they're that great. You know, we didn't do our fandom. We promised fandom.
That was kind of
sponsor
a
of the
there.
show. Fandom debate.
Yeah, that was.
Maybe we should say what Canadian team wins the Stanley Cup first. Now, obviously, the Ottawa and Edmonton have the inside track right now, but who would you say? That's what fandom is about, by the way. The app that they're releasing is debates on sports. You can win prizes and such. Who'd you pick?
Right now, probably Edmonton.
Yeah, I would have to say that as well, whether it's this year
but I would
or
go
next.
Edmonton, then Toronto next.
You know what, though? The Crosby injury really... It opens the door a little bit to the Ottawa Senators getting to the Stanley Cup final.
Absolutely.
If Ottawa and Edmonton are in the final, who do you think wins?
The Oilers, probably.
I don't think the Oilers are that good.
Carlson versus McDavid would be... The one thing about Ottawa is they're deep and they play so well structured, which I think is frustrating to teams.
Yeah.
There's, Washington, one of the guys on the panelist was saying he was talking to one of the high-up sources at the Capitals and said they wanted no part of the Senators in these playoffs, which they still possibly end up getting them. But there's a lot of teams that don't like the Senators. I still think there's not enough high-end talent after Carlson, but man, we got really normal podcasty panel-y at the end here.
Well,
didn't we?
It's all right.
This is so unlike us.
We got rid of Rod. He just wanted the hijinks.
So let's wrap up episode 12. You know what we can do here? I think we'll end episode 12. Thanks again to our sponsors, Fandom Sports App. Hey, by the way, more sponsors come on board. We have a few more weeks here. You can get a taste of sponsorship of the podcast, and then maybe you can go all in the fall when we explode.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Let's leave you with Rod Smith doing the voice of Bane, the villain from Batman, doing LFO's Summertime Girls. Thanks for listening.
Stayed all summer, then went back home. Macaulay Culkin wasn't home alone. Fell deep in love, but now we ain't speaking. Michael J. Fox was Alex P. Keaton. When I met you, I said my name was Rich. You look like a girl from Abercrombie & Fitch.
This is JD's podcast. JD's Rubber Boot Podcast. He's gonna sit and relax and tell you all sorts of stories. He's gonna tell you all about life and sports, and probably will play some games. And if nothing else, you know we're gonna have a laugh. This is the podcast.
Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight?